Hey guys, thank you for joining me today in Godspot. I want to talk to you about the God Nudge. There's a theory that I've been reading about recently called the nudge theory. The nudge theory is basically a gentle push that is used to aim to influence people to make better decisions. Let me give you a couple of examples. You leave your walking shoes near the front door to remind you to go for that exercise and walk every day. Or there's a stick note on your computer. It says read the book first before you get on the computer. Or there's a notification that comes on your calendar that reminds you. But whatever it may be, usually it's a very passive way, and it gently reminds us and nudges us to make better choices and decisions. Now, I believe that this is also a biblical concept. God nudges you and I. It says in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12, in the New Living Translation, and after the earthquake there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after there was the sound of a gentle whisper. So God nudges us. We all get them at different times and often, but most times we ignore them. I had a friend of mine who was sharing a story that one day they felt really a compulsion or an impulse, not so much an impulse, but a compulsion to call somebody, someone they haven't seen for a long time. And instead of phoning them, they got busy, caught up in the day, and they forgot. The next day, they received a phone call, and unfortunately, that person that night had suddenly passed away. And what this person was sharing was their feeling of regret. They said, look, I felt like I was nudged to do this, but I didn't do it. Many times, that's what's happened to you and I. As we learn with Elijah. Elijah thinks God's in the storm. He thinks he's in the lightning and the wind and all the loud stuff. But God says, I'm not in that stuff. I'm in a gentle whisper. I'm going to nudge you to make better decisions. So there's a few things we need to consider about God nudging us. Firstly, we need to always look to the source. You know, more than ever, we live on our feelings. And often we interpret our feelings and desires to justify making certain decisions. And then we use the comment, God laid it on my heart. Well, let me challenge that for a moment. Did he really lay it on your heart, or was that just a feeling? Which leads me to the second point. We need to learn to discern the voice of God. And this is not always an easy task, because there are times that things do weigh on our heart and we're just unsure. And so what we need to realize is when God does nudge us, he will never contradict his word. And his word will always support what he's nudging us to do. Remember, God's nudging us to make better choices and better decisions. And what better compass point to use than the Bible? Thirdly and lastly, just because someone says that God laid it on their heart, it doesn't mean he actually did. And that's a reality. Just as we on occasion can make mistakes on our own desire for one of God's nudges, so can other people. If someone tells us that God laid this on their heart, it doesn't mean that we need to join in with them. It doesn't mean that we need to be part of their choir. I knew a young man who went up to a girl, and he was unfortunate looking, and she was very pretty in the church. And he said to her, God told me to tell you that you are to marry me. Now, how many know that's not reality? That's what God told me. Really, no, that's your feeling. That's lust. And so we need to be very careful and very discerning about what is God and what is not. And God will nudge us. He will nudge us to call people. He will nudge us to walk across a room and speak to people. He will nudge us to care for people. He'll nudge us to do those things that are found in his word. And I pray today God will nudge you and you be sensitive enough to know that it's him who's directing you to make a better choice, a better decision. I hope you like this today. Hit the like button and share it with a friend. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.